Good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of Style Speaks, my movers and shakers edition of Style Speaks, by the way. My name is Ronald Bird, and I have a very special guest with me today at the Carolina Kitchen. Famous creator, entrepreneur, magazine article just written about him just this month, right?
This month.
Mr. Lance London, thank you. How you doing?
It's great to be here.
All right, great to have you here with us today on this rainy afternoon.
But it's sunshine inside this restaurant.
It sure is. Well, where are you from, Mr. London?
I'm originally from North Carolina, but I was raised right here in the Washington, D.C. area. So we came from down south. A lot of my family moved here, and of course we followed. And been here all my life.
Okay, so obviously you're going to stay a while.
Well, it seems that way, except when I go on and take Carolina Kitchen around the country. Of course, I'll be living in every city that we drop a Carolina Kitchen.
Okay, you're going to have a villa in every one of those places?
That's a good idea. Villa.
Okay, well, so you're going to stay a while. You may be doing some traveling during that time. Yeah. Well, tell me, I have a really good question for you. Why food? Why cooking?
You know, a lot of people ask me, and I tell them all the time that my grandmother was an incredible cook at her church, Jerusalem Baptist Church, the second oldest church in Washington, D.C., the second church to ever be founded in the Washington, D.C. area out of Georgetown.
Okay.
Everyone loved her cooking, and yours truly liked it the most. I loved it the most. I love my grandmother's cooking. So I took a kind of like fascination the way she actually did her food. She cooked Southern food was her specialty.
Right.
It never looked like Southern cuisine. It always looked like some food you would see in a restaurant, the way she plated it.
Okay.
So I got excited about that, and I got involved with food.
Well, it's interesting you say Southern cooking, so you don't use the term soul food?
Well,
or what's the difference? Is there a difference between Southern cooking and soul food?
You know, what's really funny is the term soul food, it originated and was derived like in the 70s and 60s, late 60s.
Okay.
Everything was soul. Soul barbershop, soul food, soul hair. You know,
Black power.
Black power, you know. And the initial name was Southern cuisine, low style cooking, low style cooking, and
that had something to do with the way it was cooked, low style.
Right. Mm-hmm. Low style cooking and home cooking. You know what I mean? And home style cooking. These are all terms that used for the same actual term of soul food, so it's all the same thing.
Okay, it's the same thing. It's just, but the way it's prepared, I mean, that's pretty much the same, but just the terminology is a little different.
I forgot even low country. Low country is the word I was actually looking for.
Low country, y'all. Low country.
I was trying to figure out what low.
It's low. We're just going to do low. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, because that was really one of my next questions. What was your inspiration? What got you started? So obviously your grandmother inspired you. And family members, but I mean, was it something that you learned and you had a fascination about early on? But as you grew older, I mean, did you kind of get the bug when did you know that that's what you really wanted to do? Well, and that's what you kind of want to be your bread and butter.
Good question. My dad also he cooked for my mother, especially on the weekends. He always was working, and he was an entrepreneur, and he used to allow me to cook with him, and I learned how to cook early on. So I got up at the early age of 6 or 7 years old and tried my hand in cooking them breakfast and did. And in doing that, actually I got even more excited about the food industry.
Okay.
My dad went on to get interested in opening up a national chain restaurant, and he had a heart attack before he died. But the one thing he implanted in my mind was, son, I want you to go to college and get a degree, and if you can, be an entrepreneur or be a salesman. That's what he told me.
Okay.
And you might say, well, why didn't you say salesman?
Right.
Because the more you sell, the more you make.
Okay.
So I saw the food industry, which was something that he wanted to get involved with, as well as entrepreneurship combined together and selling food, as an ideal way to get involved with entrepreneurship. So that's kind of how I got involved. But I can tell you too, I don't mean to keep rambling on, but there was a building that I had a business in downtown Silver Spring. There was a restaurant that was vacant downstairs. And I went to the owners of the building and asked them, I have this great concept with Southern cuisine restaurant with great cooking, and it's kind of like a chain that's going on right now. It's called Boston Market. It's called Boston Chicken at the time.
Oh, okay.
And they kind of understood that concept because it just came out. And I went and I told them my dream, and they believed me. They believed in me, and they gave me an opportunity, and that's where the first Carolina Kitchen was.
I remember. Was it on Colesville?
Colesville.
Okay, I remember.
Downtown Silver Spring.
I remember seeing that place. Well, that is a really interesting story. I mean, and we're definitely here to talk about style and fashion, and I tried to get out earlier the fact that you had this big feature in the Essence magazine.
Ebony.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
It was Ebony. Why did I think it was Essence?
Because you haven't read it yet. Bust it.
Well, I saw it.
You saw it on Facebook.
Well, I did.
But you haven't read it.
I haven't read it. Okay.
Ebony magazine. He hasn't picked up the magazine
I thought it was
yet.
Essence. I'm sorry. I stand corrected. I will tell the truth. But it looked to be a really great feature.
It was awesome.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
awesome.
How was it to get asked to do that?
Well, you know what? I've never had a publicist at all. And a lot of people think I have a publicist because, I come on a lot of TV shows, different ads and articles. And so I finally had an actual publicist maybe like a month ago. And they're starting next month, so they haven't even started yet.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And one of the things that question
that position, but I guess go ahead.
And she asked me, what would you like to see? What are some of the things in your dream list? Television shows, night show, is that? I said the number one thing that it's actually two at the time. One, I would like to be in Ebony magazine.
Is that right?
That's one of the things. She said, "Oh my God, Ebony magazine."
We can make that happen.
Right? Well, no, she didn't make it happen though.
Okay.
They just called me out of nowhere.
Are you serious?
They just called me out of nowhere and said they want to do a story, but also I wanted. No disrespect to you. I wanted Oprah Winfrey and you to interview me. That was my goal.
I can put it in the same sentence. Say that one more time.
Oprah Winfrey and you.
All right. Well, if you're gonna go, go big. That's what I say. That's what I say. When I try to book guests for my show, and then they do, I was just talking to my assistant here. When we go back and forth with the scheduling or whatever, which is so tedious, people take you through all these changes. I'm like, well, would you do that to Oprah? If Oprah said, I need you to be here at such and such time to be interviewed, would you take her through all the changes that you taking me through?
See, guys, he's saying that because I was late. It was a storm outside. My lights went off, and I just got here. But he was gracious enough to wait for me.
I waited. Definitely.
But I'm here now.
Well, you're definitely here. Well, I congratulations about the article in Ebony magazine.
Ebony.
And I saw the feature on Fox News, Channel 5.
Right.
And you're just like blowing up all over the place every time I turn around. Well, you're not shy in front of the camera either, because if you go to this man's Facebook page, he's got pictures for days. Just him and with all these celebrities, all up in his grill and all that. So he likes the camera, y'all. Don't get it twisted. But anyway, he got a little speechless on that one.
No.
But as I transition into the fashion piece, and we see, this is a beautiful set. I love the velvet, lavender. Now I better get that color right. That's lavender, not purple.
There you go.
Lavender set there with the pinstripe and the. I love it, and I think your signature. My signature is hats.
Okay.
I love hats. And but I like accessories too. But I noticed that you do a lot of scarves, which are ensembles, and I think it's fabulous. So usually a person who kind of grew up cooking and wanted to stay, in the kitchen and behind the stove, don't get really much opportunity to, to look all fancy and all good all the time. So where did the whole dressing thing come into play for you? Because I know somebody who knows you, and they told me a little bit about your history. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but they said he used to wear suits and ties to school every day, too, in high school.
Hey, that's true. I was getting ready to say that.
That was a little inside information I got.
I was getting ready to say that.
I already found that
me and a good friend of mine, when I was in junior high school, leading into high school, we discovered GQ magazine.
Me too.
We discovered that magazine.
It was like my Bible. I used to sleep with the damn magazine in the bed.
When we found that magazine, we got so excited. We thought it was the greatest thing. And we used to emulate what we saw in that magazine.
Is that right?
Even though at the time, most people were in jeans.
It was the late 70s.
Not that, I'm not that. That was you.
I'll own it. I'll own it. Okay. For me, I got introduced to it in the late 70s.
We started actually emulating everything we saw in that magazine. I'm telling you right here, right now, you know, we would actually carry the magazine in our hand in school with our books and make sure it was the outside
right, that you
book,
could see the GQ, right,
magazine.
right.
And everybody started calling us GQ because we wore suits every day, no matter what. There you go. That's okay. We was doing it. You know, and it was just something that I just always loved clothes. I always loved clothes and entrepreneurship. And then too, I was an athlete. And most athletes didn't wear suits and ties.
Right.
I was an athlete.
Jocks and
there you go.
Jeans and dungarees and Lees and Levi's and stuff like that.
And if you're out there, you're listening right now, and I know it's a lot of people out here listening to this right now. If you're a young man and you're out here,
after we put it on his page, then everybody will see it. Because he's got he can't even take any more friends on his Facebook page. But anyway,
I'm telling you right now that if you put on a nice suit, women love
well-dressed man.
A well-dressed man. You gotta, you have to put on something really, really nice. All this pants hanging off the behind and all this shirts hanging out your shirt. That's no.
Well, we didn't come from that. Well, I'm not going to put myself, since you made me so much older than you. We didn't come from that. You know, we were in high school back in those days. I mean, you dressed to go to school. I mean, very rarely. I mean, there were some people who wore jeans, but you wore jeans on a Friday.
That's right.
You know, maybe on Friday, but not every day. It wasn't tennis shoes. You wore hard shoes, and even some guys, like you said, wore suits and ties and stuff to school.
They even wore shoes with jeans like Bass Regions. With the pennies in them.
Yeah, absolutely.
I went on.
Okay, you remember that? Yeah. That preppy stage. Well, you do it all so well. Well, what are some of your, as far as your dressing styles? What are some of your inspirations, and what challenges you, and how do you feel about like what you see in your interactions being in the DMV? Do you think that DC is a place for fashion, or how do you deem DC on the map of one of the high-end places for fashion?
I think DC has always been a place for fashion. And if you really think about it, it's always been a place for fashion. I think that the hip-hop culture has affected every city, you know, no matter what, because that's a very strong, it has a very strong impact with the magazines, videos. But fashion is something that's been here long before we actually, me or you were born, being long after we gone. I was just studying German as well as Russian ballet. And you know they call ballet the arts. And a lot of people don't understand why. Because the ballet actually had, first it was dance, and then you got to look at it, when you have a ballet, you have to have outfits or design outfits. And the designers at that particular time in the late 1800s to early 1900s were the top designers in the world from Italy, all over Europe, design outfits for the ballet, as well as the top artists. You were Van Gogh, is a little old, but Picasso, you know, he was designing actual back sets. So they call it the arts because, you know, the fact that it's very artistic, you know, and to see fashion even in those early days, I look back as I study, I see the way they dress. And I tell you, it's no difference. It was kind of something got. Matter of fact, I saw a guy that looked like you right now today. This guy looked exactly like from Russia. He was awesome. His style like.
So you saying he was looking good?
He was looking sharp. He was looking awesome. You know, I actually looked at a couple pictures of him, and you could snap your fingers and he could be here today. So fashion's something. If you're really good at it, it's time.
Oh, absolutely.
You still have to look at fashion, and sometimes shoulder pads, and for guys and females, and sometimes like now they're not. So you got to kind of watch, you know, what the trends are, and move flow with what the trends are.
Well, actually, and without trying to be a slave to fashion, I mean, it's good to kind of create your own. Everybody is unique. I talk to a lot of people, and I often ask the question, how do you develop your own, or what's your perception of your own individual style? A lot of people get caught up in emulating what they see. A lot of people really don't know. I mean, I used to get people, oh, well, don't take me shopping. I don't know I need to know how to be my personal shopper and all that. And I really can't do, I mean, there's some people who are really good at that, but I can tell you, I mean, this looks good, and I could probably dress you if I wanted to. But you have to be kind of comfortable in your own skin and be able to know what works for you. And you can't really, I can put you in an outfit, but that doesn't mean you're going to be able to carry it off and be comfortable in it. And I don't think anybody could really do that for me. So it's about developing your own individual style. And but I mean, if somebody was to ask me about, or if I was to ask somebody about Mr. London, and I said, well, what's his fashion sense? What's his fashion style? What would you think they would say?
That's a good one.
Coming from somebody else's mouth now, not yours. What do you think they'd say?
They would say Sunday Dapper. You know,
Okay.
a Sunday Dapper.
Okay.
You know, kind of like a gentleman's quarterly.
Okay. GQ.
Thank you.
He said, I'll own GQ. Because you tend to want to, you're more dressed up than casual. So are you a jeans guy? I mean, on the weekends, I'm sure you know, put your warm-up suit on, you get down in you know, gritty too. But pretty much this is your style persona. You are very elegant, stylish gentleman, and this is kind of sort of your signature. Would that be correct?
I go through phases.
Okay.
Like actually, sometimes I actually go through phases where a whole 2 weeks I wear jeans almost every day, but I make sure I put a sports jacket on.
Okay.
Most of the time.
Okay.
You know? So I do go through phases, but the majority of the time I wear.
You feel most
suits.
comfortable.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna talk a little bit about your perception of the environment. I know you're working on, and I'm gonna give you an opportunity before we close to talk about what you're working on. And I know you have some new restaurants that are opening up, and maybe I can get a little position in one of those. We'll talk about that later. But in your surroundings, as I said before, DC is pretty fashion forward. But what do you think? I mean, we have Fashion Week coming up. I'm doing a big fall, September kind of preview of fall. Fall is like the biggest fashion season of all. So if anybody that's into you know, style and fashion is kind of looking for fall, and I'm really kind of done. I told Michael, this is enough with the white and the pastels. I'm ready to put on the the darks and the jackets and all that. Love fall. But what's your perception as far as where DC is going? I know DC does have a fashion week, and a lot of people aren't aware of that. But why do you think that is, and what can we do, or why do you think the publicity on more top designers coming to DC to introduce their fashion lines?
I think that fashion has changed, hairstyles changed, so the way that people perceive or do things change. I think DC is going through what I call a renaissance of sorts. I mean, at one time, there was nothing to see a fashion show in DC, 3 or 4 or 5 of them every weekend. I remember those days.
I remember those days too. Yeah.
It was fashion shows all over. Everybody was having fashion shows, right?
Right.
And some of the DC so-called fashion gurus like the Harvey Stars of the world, Glenn Jackson, and the list goes on.
Right.
The late Bill Washington, and the list goes on and on of people who pretty much drove. I even sponsored a couple fashion shows. I think that times have changed, again, because of, let's say, the hip-hop culture, which is nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But I think that fashion is making a comeback. I think in Washington, D.C. right now, as we speak, fashion is making a real strong comeback.
Okay.
I mean, you said something about D.C. Fashion Week, but this week, coming up, next week, is Maryland Fashion Week, and that's something brand new that just launched.
Yeah.
Maryland Fashion
Know
Week.
about that.
Yeah, Maryland Fashion Week.
Okay.
Man. I mean, they even have Baltimore Fashion Week.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
New
all
Jersey,
everybody's having a fashion week.
Atlantic City, I know that.
City, in Southeast, over by the shrimp boat fashion week. It's all
Okay, that's right. I need to make a note to cover that. You're funny. Okay, well, that's good. That's good. I always kind of want to know what people's perception of that is, and then definitely moving forward in that direction. Well, why don't you tell us about what's coming up? What are you working on? Some new before we close, the new locations, whatever you wanted to discuss about that.
Well, the Carolina Kitchen, of course. We're a Southern style restaurant, no country, if you will.
No, he didn't say soul food. He said Southern style. I'm noticing that. Go ahead.
Man, we be soul food too, but we're a Southern cuisine restaurant that happen to have a lot of soul food.
Is Southern cuisine just a more socially or politically correct term? Is that what you're saying?
I like it better. I mean,
I'm just
because food is for everyone.
Okay, so soul kind of classifies it, makes it more ethnic, make it more black, if you will.
I mean,
if you say soul food as opposed to Southern style.
I love my heritage. I love being African American.
Okay.
But I think that the only color I know is green. It's black, white, purple, zurple. It doesn't really matter. I mean, as long as you're hungry, you can eat. And I think that you have to make it more broad to attract everyone. That's why I have Chilean sea bass. That's why I have wood grilled salmon. That's why I have seafood comedy. A lot of seafood. and all kinds of wonderful things. Okay, but with the Carolina Kitchen right now, we're in expansion mode. We have a few new restaurants that open around town. We have one that's opening up in Rhode Island Avenue.
Yes,
the Rhode
that's
Island
that's going to do so well.
I am excited. Right across the street from a beautiful
right.
church.
Right. You can spit from the. I mean, you can actually crawl from the metro station to your restaurant.
Oh yeah. You can
I'm
on
sure
your
some
knees.
people.
On your knees. Right from the Rhode Island Rhode Island subway station. Yes, but right next door to it, I have my brand new concept, which is called CK Burger, the original country burger. And what that is I've developed, and threw my hat, if you will, into the incredible industry of burgers. And it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. And I've always had this concept, and everybody say you make wonderful burgers, you make the most incredible burgers in the world. All kinds of wonderful burgers, like the soft shell crab burger. We have the macaroni and cheese burger. We have also a crab cake burger, a grilled chicken burger, fried chicken burger, a black bean burger, a veggie burger. Then we also have things, let me tell you why we have these other things. Because it's called CK Burger, which stands for Carolina Kitchen. CK Burger, the original country burger. Because I really feel the best burgers we've ever eaten in our lives have been at cookouts, have been at just picnics, if you will. So what I've done is I've created a burger and put side orders like potato salad, Boston baked beans, coleslaw, grilled corn on a cob. These are all the wonderful side orders. Then I also have a lemonade station where we make fresh lemonade in your face, and also a milkshake station where we make all these unique milkshakes like sweet potato milkshake, country type stuff, and we have an ice machine like Fat Tuesdays and Wet Willies with a drink called, ready for this, the Swamp Thing. You know, it's awesome. So these are all the wonderful things at CK Burger. So those will be open side by side in the Rhode Island Road Shopping Center in Washington, D.C. off of Rhode Island Avenue. But also, we have an incredible location coming out in Waldorf. But actually, it's in Brandywine, right there the line of Waldorf and Brandywine, Maryland, which is in Prince George's County. It's in a new shopping center right in front of a movie theater. It's the Carolina Kitchen itself.